Okay, so today we are opening the files on a source that takes concepts many of us think of as strictly spiritual, maybe even mystical,
Right.
but it immediately just strips away that fog. It treats them like a high-level corporate security breach.
I know, it's fascinating.
Our source for this deep dive is The Not-So-Mystic Blueprint of Destiny Swapping
hmm
by Kendia Ali.
And what's so compelling right from the first page is the total reframing of the subject.
Yeah.
The author isn't talking about superstition or, complicated rituals. They're positioning identity interference as organized, high stakes, what they call energetic corporate espionage.
Energetic corporate espionage. I love that.
It gives you this intellectual, really strategic framework for what a lot of people just experience as like inexplicable bad luck or constant disruption.
Exactly. So our mission in this deep dive is to treat this whole framework with the seriousness of structured identity theft. We want you, the listener, to think of this as analyzing fraud at the absolute deepest level.
Like at the SIM card level.
Yes, the spiritual, neurological, and behavioral SIM card level. The perpetrator here isn't trying to steal your bank account. It's so much more audacious. They're trying to steal your path, your potential, your entire trajectory.
And that strategic framing, it leads to the core insight, which is actually incredibly empowering.
How so?
The impact of all this narrative manipulation and psychological imprinting, it's very real. But the recovery isn't about some outside force or, some complex ritual.
Right.
Recovery is purely a matter of exercising your own sovereignty. It's self-governance. You are the sole CEO of your energetic signature.
Okay, so let's unpack that foundational concept, the
Oh.
signature, because everything we're about to discuss flows from this one unique identifier. How does Ali define this energetic signature that's being targeted?
So the energetic signature is defined as your proprietary operating system.
Your personal OS.
Exactly. It's your unique personal frequency. It dictates your destiny. It fuels your intuition. It basically shapes how the world responds to you. It's an incredibly complex data packet.
How complex are we talking? What are the components that, build this frequency?
It's a whole synthesis of the physical and the unseen. We're
Right.
talking about bioelectric patterns from your nervous system, your heart coherence,
Okay,
deep subconscious memory loops, what they call ancestral resonance,
so the stuff you inherit.
the strength, the weaknesses, yeah. Plus your lived story arcs, your spiritual assignments, and even your behavioral micro-imprints. It is the complete blueprint of who you are and what you're here to do.
So it's not just the external packaging, it's the actual algorithm running the internal hardware.
Precisely. Which explains why stealing it would be so valuable.
And explains the target profile.
Right. This framework gives us a clear idea of why certain people are targeted. They're often, the spiritually attuned, the gifted, the chosen-hearted, and, this is significant, the trauma survivor reborn.
Why them specifically?
It's strategic. Their path, their unique favor, their resilience, these are powerful assets. Stealing that path is a shortcut for someone who lacks the inner capital to build their own. Envy becomes an economic strategy.
So this is where the corporate espionage analogy gets really tactical. How do these unseen proprietary signatures actually become accessible? The source says this isn't random magic. It's physics, psychology, and sorcery meeting at the same conference table.
I love that line.
Me too.
Oh.
So what are the bridges, the physical and digital bridges, that let this signature data be accessed for forgery?
Well, the source outlines a really definitive data set. It treats personal effects not as just trash, but as traceable access points.
Okay.
They're the tangible link that provides the data you need to build the whole simulation.
So let's get specific. What items are we talking about? What are these high-value security assets that we might be, just carelessly discarding?
There are two main categories. First is physical data. We're talking about things that carry your cellular and emotional memory.
Like what?
Hair, for one, it holds mineral coding, stress markers. It's a literal chronological record of your experience.
Wow.
Bodily fluids have cellular instructions. Fingerprints hold the pattern logic of how you interact with the world. And maybe most surprisingly, old clothes or personal items, they absorb and hold your electromagnetic field, your emotional residue.
That's fascinating. Completely reframes how you think about getting rid of an old pair of sunglasses or a journal. It's like leaving security evidence exposed.
We think so much about our digital footprint, but what about our physical residue?
Our energetic residue.
Exactly. And then you have the second category, narrative data, which is often even more potent.
Okay.
Your written words carry your narrative frequency. the rhythm of your thought process, and crucially, your digital artifacts. Your voice cadence, your keystroke rhythm, even the specific language you use in emails, all trackable identifiers.
So in a world obsessed with biometric data, we're totally neglecting our biographical security.
Absolutely. But the source points to the most weaponizable access point of all,
Which,
the trauma story and reputation data.
explain that. Explain the strategy behind weaponizing someone's pain.
This is the firewall breach that happens before the major theft. The insight here is that smear campaigns and gossip,
Yeah.
they almost always precede spiritual theft.
Uh,
Because if the perpetrator can seize control of your narrative, retell your story louder or with the distortion that makes you look unstable or difficult, they effectively redirect sympathy, support, opportunities, all of it, toward themselves, toward the imposter.
so controlling the public perception of the original is the precursor to the hostile takeover. You have to discredit the original CEO before you can install the fake one.
Precisely. And that takes us right into the blueprint of the attack itself. This whole destiny swapping thing is framed as a sophisticated, multi-step process for timeline interference.
Let's walk through that blueprint. The source has a 6-step sequence. We should be really clear about each step so you know how to spot this attack while it's in progress.
Okay, so step 1 is what we just talked about, access. Obtaining the imprinted signature data, the hair, the items, the story, the trauma points.
Got it. Step 1, get the data.
Step 2 is encoding. This is where the perpetrator merges that data with their own intention, which is always rooted in envy, entitlement, or opportunism. It's the motive being layered onto the mechanism.
And then the act of fraud begins.
Yep. Step 3, simulation. The forgery starts. They begin performing the identity traits they've accessed, and the source gives a critical indicator here.
What's that?
The copycat version is always louder, it's flashier, more chaotic, or just slightly off-key compared to the original. They have to overcompensate.
Right. And what's happening to the original person while this imposter is running the simulation?
That's step 4, interference.
Yeah.
This is the sabotage phase. The original person's momentum just slows way down.
So it's not just random bad luck.
No, it's their signal being actively spoofed or jammed. It shows up as like chronic fatigue, mental fog, opportunities that get blocked at the last second, or relationships getting distorted where people suddenly distrust you for no reason. It's all designed to destabilize the original.
This is so critical. The physical and psychological symptoms of interference, that's the proof that the signature is being tampered with.
Absolutely. And that leads to step 5, the payoff. Extraction.
They start reaping the rewards.
They harvest the benefits linked to the original destiny. This could be jobs, recognition, relationships, creative ideas, anything the original destiny was supposed to receive.
And the final step sounds, well, it sounds terrifying.
Step 6 is attempted replacement. In really extreme calculated cases, this involves literal identity theft, forged signatures, fake documents, aggressively recycling the victim's trauma as their own story to just cement the substitution.
Yeah.
It's the attempt to completely overwrite the true timeline.
That sequence, it makes the whole thing feel less like some occult ritual and entirely like a detailed, malicious fraud scheme.
Right. It brings us back to the motivation. Stealing a destiny is just seen as easier and faster than building one. The target has an ability they can't cultivate, or a spirit that's magnetic, and they want the success without the work. Envy is the strategic driver.
And that brings us to a crucial intersection, linking this energetic fraud to clinical psychology. The source calls CPTSD imprinting the sneaky part that mainstream psychology often misses.
This is maybe the most critical link in the whole blueprint. When a signature is targeted, they don't just copy the external path, they try to rewrite the internal operating system.
How?
Repeated interference, invading boundaries, copying ideas, projecting their negative traits onto you. It's all an attempt to install a faulty foreign code into your survival responses.
So the simulation isn't just external, it's an attempt at internal colonization. What's the psychological outcome of that?
Deep internal destabilization, disorientation, chronic self-doubt, a profound loss of identity, the collapse of self-agency. The target starts questioning their own memory, their own voice, their own value.
And if you combine the two forces, external destiny, swapping, messing with your opportunities, and internal CPTSD imprinting, messing with your sense of self.
You create the perfect identity bypass window.
Okay.
Exactly. If you don't know who you are internally and the world is seeing a forged, louder version of you externally, you become lost. You can't assert your sovereignty, and the imposter gains control of your timeline. It's the 1-2 punch.
And it's vital to note this isn't some new concept. The source grounds this in historical context, this idea of signature tampering. It shows up across ancient cultures, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, whether it was protecting the Ren, your sacred name in Kemet, or the focus on the Ori, your inner destiny in Yoruba tradition, or the Neshamic imprint in Hebrew mysticism, the understanding was the same.
To alter fate, you interfere with the personal imprint.
Exactly, and personal items or names were always the primary access point. It's an ancient concept we're just now viewing through a modern security lens.
So, if the simulation is running, how does our listener shut it down? The conversation has to pivot to sovereignty and strategy now. What's the executive strategy for reclaiming your signature and collapsing this whole thing?
Okay, the source gives a really streamlined, grounded, and effective 7-step reclaiming guide. It's all focused on reinforcing your internal security.
Let's go through it. Step 1, name yourself out loud.
It sounds simple, but this is about identity clarity as a foundational spiritual firewall.
Yeah.
You assert your legal and spiritual identity. Step 2 is break narrative contamination.
Meaning you have to speak up.
Right. Silence lets imposters win. You have to reclaim your story in your own words. Be the primary source of information about your own life.
So we stop letting gossip or the imposter's version of events define us.
Absolutely. And step 3, declare ownership of your path. State your timeline allegiance emphatically. This life, this path, this purpose is mine. My destiny is non-transferable. It's about affirming the inviolability of your reality.
Okay, that covers clarity. Now for the energetic cleanup, what about those physical access points we talked about?
That's step 4. Release all energetic access points. And this is not a return to sender ritual that keeps you entangled. It's a deliberate release back to source. You make those items and data clean, neutral, unbound from your frequency. They stop carrying your signature.
Got it. So step 5 is about shifting the dial of your internal broadcast, making the real signal stronger than the fake one.
Step 5 is recalibrate your frequency. This involves using tools like breath work, focused prayer, sound, or affirmation tones. The source mentions frequencies like 369 hertz or 963 hertz.
And what do those do, in practical terms?
They're basically recognized vibrational anchors. They're used to promote internal coherence and stability, to make sure your system is operating on a clear, stable channel.
It's the equivalent of rebooting the whole operating system to fletch out the malware.
Precisely. And then the final 2 steps are about validation and presence. Step 6, reinforce your identity fields. Your voice, your unique writing style, your creative output, these are your signature validators. They prove the original is still active and producing.
And the ultimate, most powerful antidote to being impersonated. Step 7, stay visible.
Yes. Imposters thrive when the real one goes quiet, discouraged by all the interference. Visibility is spiritual sovereignty in motion. When you operate fully in your purpose, you collapse the simulation. No imitation can outperform the original when the original is fully present.
So if we pull back to the executive summary here, the core message for you is this. Destiny swapping is strategic fraud. It's timeline interference carried out by misusing your personal imprint.
Your signature is proprietary, non-replicable data. Anyone trying to forge it is running a counterfeit operation that needs your confusion and your silence to survive. The strength, the favor, the power, it all belongs to the original.
And the most profound promise from the source is that the moment you truly reclaim your name, your timeline, and your frequency, the entire simulation collapses.
Balance restores, your path clears, and the imposter is left with nothing but the consequences of a failed strategy. It's a powerful validation of your own internal locus of control.
Which leaves us with this final thought for you to mull over. If we start to view our personal artifacts, our emotional residue, and our reputation not just as personal items, but as vital, high-value security assets, how does that change the way we approach setting digital and emotional boundaries every day?
Right.
What seemingly small data point, a casual comment, an old journal, a discarded t-shirt, are you unconsciously leaving exposed that carries the weight of your entire trajectory?
Think about the security protocols you need to put in place this week. Thank you for sharing your sources and letting us explore this blueprint for energetic integrity.
We hope this deep dive gave you the strategic clarity you needed to reinforce your signature. We'll talk to you next time.